Hi, Lisa Christensen here. I want to share with you a card that I just made. It's a watercolor card with some new paints that I bought, and I wanted to share with you kind of my ways of how I play with new paint and color. And this is an easy water technique that anyone can do. And I like to go to the easy techniques when I'm using new watercolor, and I'll show you that. But the stamp is from Tailored Expressions. It's the Blooming Background stamp. I think it came out last year. I'm pretty sure it was a new release like last spring. So it should totally be on the web page, and that's what the stamp looks like. It's bigger than an A2 size, so you can really get that nice bleed that makes your cards look custom and elegant. So that's why I chose this stamp, is because I like the bleed. I always like bigger stamps, so I have that bleed, so it just looks really professional looking when you're done. So let's get started. What I did was I chose to use some Winter Wonderland white embossing powder from Stampindus, and it has this white silvery glittery, you can kind of see it. So it's really, I'm painting a resist right now. And the colors that I'm using, again, I'm using these new colors I got from Daniel Smith. And you can use any colors, you don't have to use these, but these are the ones that I'm using. Moon Glow, Rose of Ultramarine, Wisteria, and Green Apatite Genuine. This is a Primatech color, so it's going to have some granulation, more so than the other two. Moon Glow is really fun. It has like 2 or 3 different colors kind of all in one tube, and so does Rose of Ultramarine. It has this it has like ultramarine blue along with this purple, so it's really fun. And what I do is I just, on my artboard, I put some paint down so I can use it. And I do go kind of by the intensity, like the value, so that I'm not, and that's way more paint than I will ever need, but you don't need very much watercolor. If you had a palette, you could totally just put it in your palette. I am going to paint all afternoon, so I'm getting out these colors to paint with, so I figured why not just on the artboard. It doesn't really matter to me. If you're a messy painter, do what works. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm going to start with this Wisteria. Oh my gosh, it's really cool. If you are a Daniel Smith fan, Wisteria is a fun one. I wouldn't call it translucent. But I would call it, it just goes on so creamy and pretty. I just love it. So when I'm painting, I like to go one way, and I see that, and then you'll watch me, I'll go the different way, but still it's fun. I don't know, this is fun. And I'm using a lot of water. Again, the paper I'm using is Strathmore mixed media paper, my favorite. And it's the 185 pound. I do that because I don't have to tape down my paper. I can just start painting, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to mess with tape. I don't want to mess with trying to figure out, I don't know. Kind of that artist where I just go with the flow. And right now I'm just adding some more pigment. I have leftover Wisteria pigment that I want to use up, so I'm going to put it on the paper and get that watercolory effect. And wherever I think I need it is where it's going. I'm not thinking about it. Alright, the brush that I'm using is a size 10. It's a Sapphire Robert Simmons. It does the trick. It's my go-to card brush for watercolors. I like it. It's pretty. It holds enough water for me. I do have other brushes that I like maybe a little bit better, but that one works just fine. Okay, so while it's still wet, I'm going to go in with this Rose of Ultramarine. And if you can see, it looks really dark. It's not. But I'm going to go in and I'm just going to add where I want, like my mid-tone value, I guess is what I would call it. And I'm letting it blend with the Wisteria because that will really make it look watercolored. And I'm dabbing it in. I'm not trying to paint it in. And if I want And I'm not going to do all of them because I still want the moon glow to show too. But I'm going to... And watercolor always dries a shade lighter. So when you think about how dark you're going to want your petals, realize that it's going to be lighter because watercolor dries a shade lighter. It just does. It's part of the medium. You can't really change it. If I get out of the lines, I'm okay with that because it's watercolor. And I laugh because I'm not a strict, tight painter. I'm a very loose painter, so watercolor is my medium because of that. And look, I'm really just having fun. I'm not thinking too much about it. If I think about it too much, the watercolor won't look fresh. It won't look beautiful. It'll just look kind of like I was too tight, and I don't want that. So the faster you can work in watercolor, the prettier it is. And I mean that for everything. Okay, I'm gonna, for every watercolor that you do, I don't want to say that if you put yourself on a time crunch, that's not really how that works, but it is interesting how when you don't think about it, you get that really pretty, I don't know, watercolor effect, which is what we're going for. Now this looks dark, and it is it's called moon glow for a reason, but when you put it on, it has this bluer tint to it, and when you put it with the wisteria, it almost acts like it's more purple, which is what I want. I'm just playing, I'm not thinking about it. And that's the fun thing about watercolor is you don't have to think about it. I suppose it's the same way with when you're coloring with Copics or markers. You just get in your zone and you can just start adding pigment, and that's the best part. That's why I like making these videos, is because I'm just getting lost in my artwork and it's fun. All right, so the more pigment you have, the more vibrant it's going to be, or the darker it's going to be depending on the pigment. Because I'm using Moon Glow, it's darker in certain places and lighter in other places because the pigment on your brush, you don't have as much. And that's okay. That's the beauty of watercolors, all those different tones that you just want to have. And you want it to blend, you want it to look painterly. Look at that. Oh, I just love it. I love these colors. Doesn't that just look beautiful? I'm going in and I'm just looking to see if I kind of missed anything, and I'm not really. Sometimes I surprise myself and I'm like, oh, why didn't I paint that one at the very, when you're like getting it ready to go for a friend, okay. All right, now I'm going to do this Appetite. I call it Appetite. It's not. Green Appetite Genuine. And this is really fun. This has granulation in it. So you might see some like, I don't know what kind of stone it is. I mean, it's Appetite Genuine, so it's an apatite stone, but it has some black granulation to it. It's really pretty. I can't wait to use it on landscapes and trees. And anyways, I like to play with purple and green partly because I just love purple and green together. I think I've always loved purple and green. Even as a little girl, I would make, I would doodle dresses in purple and green and think that is so cool. And if I could like wear that, like a purple shirt with green pants, I totally would. Funny, right? And again, it's supposed to be loose. So like, I don't know if you have to tell yourself to loosen up, but have fun with it. You don't want to feel like you're too tight, that you're too restricted to coloring in the lines, because I'm not, and that's the beauty of watercolor. It gives it that beautiful blend that you can't get with very many other mediums. So use that medium quality to its benefit. And if you're not a very good colorer, you can say, oh, well, that's because it's watercolored and it's supposed to bleed. You don't have to let it bleed. But I also know that art therapy is a real thing, and if you're playing with color, then why not have fun and say, oh yeah, no, I totally did that on purpose. So anyways, there it is. It's done. It's painted. It's done. Now all I have to do is let it dry. Once it's dried, I went in and I stamped this belated birthday. I had a friend that her birthday was like, I don't know, last week. And I forgot to give her a card. So this card is going to my friend. So sorry for missing your birthday. And there you go. And then I just stamp it right here on black. I chose black because I really wanted that to be, I guess, the focal point. And I wanted then for her to see the pretty paint, the painterly part of the card. So there is that card. It's super simple. All I did for the background was I put some silver washi tape around the edges, and then I would mount that with some foam tape right here with the sentiment, and you got a finished completed card. And doesn't that look beautiful? Look at that color. Look at those colors. Give Daniel Smith paint a try if you are a watercolorist. I am loving their paints. If not, you can use distress ink. Any kind of medium will work for this. This is just the way I chose to paint this. So anyways, I'd love to see what you do with wet into wet washes, and keep painting. It's fun. Enjoy your painting time. We'll see you soon.